Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new NVIDIA daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over NVIDIA stock. Let's go over what is happening to NVIDIA, what is happening to the market today with a pretty painful day in the market once again. Constant redness, it feels like overall in the market. Thankfully, NVIDIA had its green day yesterday, or else today could have been pretty bad. But the fact that NVIDIA had that green day on a market sell-off yesterday actually saved what could have been a pretty ugly looking chart. And I actually think it still looks pretty okay. I still think the Bulls have a pretty damn good shot here. And I still think the Bulls, believe it or not, are in control. But obviously, there's obviously, like I said many times, there's risk involved with the bans and whatnot. But let's go over all that together. So if you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And of course, if you do enjoy my technical analysis, thoughts on the charts, etc., I do share my thoughts pretty much every single day. The market is open on Tesla stock mainly for the $3 tier, right? $3 a month. The link is down below in the description of the video to join. It is a YouTube membership. Or for $5 a month, you get access to everything I just said. So Tesla plus other stocks that I find. For $5 a month, you get access to all that, plus NVIDIA daily updates. But jumping into it, NVIDIA unfortunately closing the day down 2.33%, giving back, a fair portion of those gains from yesterday. Closing at $134.3 per share, which obviously compared to the market is a very slight underperformance actually. So let's talk about this, right? NVIDIA is in a pretty peculiar spot here, but like I said, it's still holding pretty crucial levels. So let's just get the obvious things out of the way. The bands on the daily chart, they're still red. They're still acting as a resistance, and we really need to get back above them. Like we have to break back above the low 140s. That pretty much just has to happen, right? But again, if and when, of course, it happens, I think NVIDIA is poised to set up, and it's looking pretty damn solid. It's looking pretty spicy. And I think it's going to, have a beautiful, beautiful start to January or end to the year, really. But of course, it's still an if, right? It's an if. It's not guaranteed. There's no actual confirmation of that yet. But I do believe that there is a good chance, in my opinion, still that will happen as long, and this is the caveat, as long as we continue pretty much holding, ideally, the most ideal scenario to continue holding is pretty much around today's low, give or take, of course, right? 134, 135, the mid 130s, essentially 136, maybe even slightly lower to 133, but you pretty much want to hold the rough mid 130s, right? To maybe slightly peeking our head into the low 130s, but ideally the mid 130s. But yeah, we want to hold that. We don't want to go too much lower, right? Because then, things will get a little bit more wonky. There is a chance we just go sideways for quite some time here, right? We could be setting up this right shoulder for quite some time. So that is a possibility because this left shoulder obviously exists, and you can argue it's a pretty big left shoulder if you look at it like that. But, we could get a couple more candles of some sideways action before finally pushing up. But I do want to see some strength coming into the stock sooner than later, ideally, and really, find a nice kind of push off of this kind of 134-ish level that, has acted as a support and resistance many times, right? Many times here, it acted as support before we finally broke down, then it acted as a resistance here. So I want to continue seeing this level act as, a powerful area of, in this case, of course, support. And I want to see it continue acting like that, right? I want to see it continue acting like that, and I want to see a bounce off of this general zone. And I want to see these bands turn green, right? We need these bands to turn green for that momentum to kick back in, because that is currently one of the bigger risks right now. We just are having issues getting past these bands and essentially maintaining above them long enough for them to really flip back to being green, right? That's the thing that we're kind of having a little bit of problems with. And, I still believe that it will happen, but obviously, it's not showing that it's happening yet, I guess is what I'm trying to say, right? There's no confirmation, I guess is what I'm trying to say, but I do believe it'll happen, especially, based on this other formation. I'm saying that, for instance, the head and shoulders pattern, right, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We are pretty much, let me remove the bands for now. You guys get the idea on that, I'm sure. But, on the daily chart, of course, we have this, red trend line that we did, of course, break out on this candle. And, we're pretty much just coming back down, and we're just holding and retesting that, right? And so far, so good. We're still holding that general level. Looks a little bit cleaner, if you will, on the 4-hour chart, right? Same idea, same exact trend line, right? Just on the 4-hour chart, same thing, right? Same thing. We're just coming back down, obviously, nice little breakout, getting resisted, and now we're coming back down, holding, potentially making our way back up. It's still things still don't look too bad, right? You can even draw Fibonacci from here, right? I'm not sure if you'd want to draw from here, but we can check from both levels. Not sure which one's the more correct level. So you can see we're actually pretty close to that 618, but I'm pretty sure if I move it up here, you can see, yeah, we're pretty much right at that 618 Fibonacci level at about, 133.5-ish dollars per share, which we're pretty much more or less at, right? I'm not drawn to perfection, of course, but, again, if there's a place for NVIDIA to finally, really build a solid foundation to, get a solid potential bounce from, hey, this level is pretty damn good, man. This level is a pretty damn good level, this 134-ish range. Very, very powerful level to get that momentum, right? RSI is actually fully reset. I remember when I said the RSI was a little overheated back when we were up here, and it's like, we could get some, resistance here. We could get some cool off. Well, I'm not gonna lie, the cool off is a little bit more than I thought. I thought the cool off was already done, or at least I was hoping it will be already done, but clearly we're continuing to cool off. But what it's doing is the fact that, this larger cool off, if you will, is giving us a bigger reset on the RSI. And now from, being pretty much overbought, we're getting pretty close to oversold territories, right? That's a good sign. I like to see that a lot as well. So yeah, I mean, things are looking pretty decent. MACD, despite this, the sell-off today, is still flip bullish. Stochastic still looks pretty powerful, right? This thing still looks like it's, truly showing us where the true direction of the stock is going to be, because this thing is just pointing pretty much straight up still. Nice looking, powerful, bullish looking stochastic, which is a good sign to see as well. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. We're still maintaining and holding that level, despite today's close being a little bit non-convincing, because we closed near the low of the day, of course, not at the low of the day, but pretty close to it, right? Despite today obviously being a red day, despite this cool off, feeling like it's lasting a little bit longer than anticipated initially, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're still holding those key levels I've been mentioning for like a week now, right? We're still holding them. We're not breaking past up below them essentially. And that's a good sign. I still like that's, it's promising to say the least, right? Now, if we do break below them, right, obviously we still have this general massive area of support even down here in the 130s, right? 130 is still a very, very important, crucial level, 130 to 132, but that'll also coincide with this massive trend line / channel bottom that if I zoom out, you can see here, right? This will of course coincide with this channel bottom as well. So that will of course also act as a support. So we still have the low 130s for that as well. So keep that in mind, right? Things are not, even if we lose this mid 130s, that will complicate things, right? That things will probably take even longer than I initially anticipated, but we still have some pretty powerful and meaningful support below us. And I still think the stock is looking pretty solid. I really do. I'm not losing hope or anything just yet. I still think it looks, I think it looks great. I really do. I still think it looks pretty solid. Obviously things can change naturally. Things can completely change, things can erode, things can get pretty bearish. That is always a possibility naturally, right? That's why I'm not like all in on NVIDIA right here, right now, but so far I still like the way it's looking. I still have no complaints. It's still holding the levels I like to see it hold. And yeah, things are looking still pretty solid. So, we also have the Ichimoku cloud, right? A lot of people like to use the Ichimoku cloud. This is a pretty nice indicator. I don't use it too often personally, but I know it's pretty common for a lot of people. But we are kind of trading within this cloud right now, this kind of bullish retest of the cloud, if you will. As long as we continue holding that, and you can see this bottom of the cloud is also around that 133-ish level, which also lines up with that Fibonacci 618 level I just showed you. These are pretty crucial levels. So again, everything just really put into one sentence. Hey, let's hope we just continue holding this 134-ish level. That would be ideal. And if we can, thumbs up. I think the stock will have a nice bounce from here, and hopefully we can finally start looking for that move up and break above the low 140s. You can also make an easy argument the fact that, there's two things that I like. So remember how I mentioned many times, right? We were doing higher highs, higher lows, blah, 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 blah. Remember I mentioned that many times, right? And then I mentioned how we started doing these lower highs, lower lows. And I wasn't a fan of that. But you can definitely make an argument here. The fact that this push up here pretty much broke this high over here, which you can make an argument the fact that we maybe set a fresh higher high here. That absolutely can be an argument. It's not the most convincing one, I'll be completely honest, but an argument can be made there. That can be a perspective. And this move to the downside, if assuming you take the perspective of this being a fresh higher high, again, that's where the Fibonacci really comes in, right? And you can take the Fibonacci like this, and you can see we're pretty much at that 618 rough level, right? And you can easily make that argument, the fact that this is essentially still setting up an overall nice looking bull flag that looks, something like this, right? Easy argument to still make here, especially when you combine it with that inverted bullish head and shoulders pattern. So again, all I'm trying to say is I'm still bullish. I still think the stock goes great, despite obviously things are looking a little bit more questionable, no doubt, slightly less convincing, but not by a lot. And I'm, I still like the way it looks. I mean, it is what it is. Could be wrong, of course, could be wrong, but so far, so good. I'm not too worried at all. Moving over to the options flow, NVIDIA, a little bit of a muted day. The bulls are still dominating the bears, of course. 1.2 million put for 90 strike came in for June 20th. Could be a hedge, you never know. Pretty decent position there. But, despite that, you still have a 3.8 million call, 3.1 million call, 1.6 million call. Like these calls, 1 million call here. The calls are still dominating, 1.4 million call, about 2.6 million put. So, definitely a mix of, of sorts, if you will, here. Right? Definitely a mix of sorts. I wouldn't say it's as one-sided to the bullish side as usual, but the bulls are still looking like they want to continue pushing it. On black box, confirmed flow, NVIDIA is at 34 million bearish flow, unfortunately. So that's obviously, a little bit of an eyebrow raiser. But again, I mainly trade off of the charts, right? But the charts are just still telling me the fact that, hey, so far so good. We're potentially holding that 618 Fibonacci level, still holding that head and shoulders pattern, still holding that key 134-ish support, mid 130 support level and the range. Stochastic and MACD are bullish. RSI is almost oversold now, which is good to see. And yeah, I mean, arguably a bull flag, little falling wedge, whatever you want to call it, right? This could just be a falling wedge, right? You know, there's many ways you can, you know, many perspectives you can have on the chart here, right? Many perspectives you can have on the chart like this, right? It could be something like this, right? Look at that. In 2 seconds, we just found this little, you know, descending, you know, wedge, if you will, right? Nice little tightness potentially happening here. You could get a bounce from here, back up to, you know, 138, maybe back up down once again as, you know, maybe get tighter and tighter and then finally break out, right? A lot of perspectives here, but again, overall, I still think the stock shows promise. So let's see what, you know, the rest of the week brings. Now that this, you know, month has finished, now that we have this, you know, last day of the month, last day of the quarter, last day of the year, now that this is all done, you know, usually these kind of days have, you know, weird price action because there's a lot of potential rebalancing happening, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that being said, let's take a look at the monthly chart. The monthly chart is officially closed. Let's take a look at what's happening here. Kind of all over the place. I'm not gonna lie, kind of all over the place. Not really giving too much information here, I'll be honest, right? I kind of like to see a red monthly candle here, I'll be honest. Not a fan when there's too many, you know, green, or in this case, I guess, white monthly candles in a row. But tell me if this doesn't look similar to what this looked like over here, right? Look at these two candles right here. And look at these two candles right here. Very similar look, very similar perspective. You know, we did get a sell-off though. We did get a sell-off, but ultimately we did go higher. Ultimately, we did push up higher. So let's see if that looks anything similar whatsoever to that scenario at all. Yeah, that's all I got for you, ladies and gentlemen. Happy New Year. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget, market is closed tomorrow, and I'll see you all on Thursday. Peace.